Hello, everyone. It's been really great getting to know each of you and your roles in healthcare over the last term. For my paper, I decided to look at the evolution of medical simulation technology and what it has done so far for the medical community, as well as the different ways it could go in the future and how technology will advance it and it will continue to grow over time. So, the reason that I chose this topic is because I am a BLS instructor for Penn State Health. And when I started doing that, it is in the Resuscitation Sciences Center. And there is where they do all of the medical simulation as well. So, I get to see lots of really cool things. They even have people that paint and do really cool things with limbs to make it look realistic for the doctors and the residents and the nurses and everyone that goes there for training. But our resuscitation center has 10 small encounter rooms, 3 larger bays, and these bays are typically used to simulate surgeries as well as major traumas. We also have skills training spaces, which include virtual reality rooms that have reality trainers, phantoms, and box trainers in them. We also have several debriefing rooms because debriefing is a huge part of simulation practices because it is important to learn where the mistakes were and how to fix them for the future. So, if we're talking about the history of medical simulation technology, I'll start by letting you know some statistics that are kind of scary. Preventable medical errors result in more than 400,000 deaths each year in the US, and it's the third leading cause of death in the country behind cardiovascular diseases and cancer. Also, non fatal medical errors that lead to disability account for 3.5 million Americans per year. So these are astonishing statistics, and this is the reason why medical simulation has been able to kind of evolve and make a difference, and we're hoping to continue to lessen the medical errors that occur. This all kind of started in 1929 with Edwin Albert Link, who invented the first flight simulator called the Blue Box. So while this started with a simulation for flying, which has nothing to do with healthcare, it did kind of open the doorway for there to be simulation within healthcare. So then in the 1960s, Peter Safar wanted to create something to simulate mouth-to-mouth cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And he went to a toy designer named Osman Ladral, who created a plastic doll to teach mouth-to-mouth resuscitation called Rescue Annie. You may recognize this name because Rescue Annie is still a doll that is used today in a lot of BLS courses. But later, Ladral was asked by Safar to create a mannequin with a spring-loaded chest as well, which could allow for cardiac compression simulation, which again, you may recognize this from your BLS courses because these are still the type of mannequins that we use today to teach those BLS courses. But then in 1968, the American Heart Association presented Harvey, which was a cardiology patient simulator. And Harvey was pretty cool because he could produce almost any cardiac disease, including varying blood pressures, heart sounds, heart murmurs, pulses, and breathing sounds. And then in 1964, Howard Burroughs was the first person to use actors to portray patient encounters. And he decided to do this with just normal everyday people who were healthy that could act like they had some different symptoms, and this would allow physicians and students to learn how to speak to patients and how to put together pieces of the puzzle while listening to different symptoms that the actors were giving them. As technology then advanced in the 80s and 90s, Stanford University, led by David Gaba, developed a comprehensive anesthesia simulation environment, or what they call CASE. And so, in that environment, they were able to simulate anesthesia overall. So, instead of just a doll or just a piece of technology, they were able to simulate the entire environment for anesthesia. So, that was a pretty cool advancement. And then by the 2007 timeframe, medical schools were creating different forums on the internet. There is an internet-based forum called Second Life, and this was a virtual tool that provided an environment where students could practice getting history from patients as well as doing examination skills, but within a virtual way. So that's really cool as well. So you may be asking, why medical simulation? What are some of the benefits? And some of the benefits, and this is definitely not all of them, but this is a lot of the ones that research has shown, is that it works on interpersonal skills with students. It also is a way to try new techniques, but not at the expense of a person. So this way we no longer have to try different things on patients who are recently deceased or who are under any sort of anesthesia or sedated. Because for a while that was a practice that was used. So now we no longer have to have that ethical battle with ourselves, whether that's okay or not. Medical simulation also prepares for major events that could occur, such as mass casualties. So while that doesn't happen all the time in this area, it is something that you need to be able to be prepared for. It also builds teamwork skills and helps medical students learn how to work together to create the best medical outcome for each patient that they see. And this also means that their communication skills are enhanced while they're doing simulations as well. And lastly, and most importantly, it helps to lessen the number of patient safety issues and medical errors, which, as you saw from those statistics, is something that we really are trying to work on. So there are some downfalls to medical simulation, and one of the major ones in the research that I've done is the cost, time, and the anxiety that it could produce for students. So many programs in universities and hospitals can't afford to have major simulation programs because it costs millions of dollars to start and operate regularly. So it also takes time for instructors to create good curriculums, not to mention the amount of time and the payment that you have to pay for the instructors to do all of this hard work. And I did read an article during my research that stated that students get more anxiety when they feel like they have to do simulation because it's in person. I don't know that I agree with that, in the sense that if you are nervous about doing medical simulation, you're probably not quite ready for the real thing yet, but I could be wrong. At the end of the study, they did find that it really wasn't a huge difference between the students who experienced anxiety and did not experience anxiety. So I don't know that that really has a whole lot of weight to it, but it was worth mentioning. So it is exciting to see where this is going to go in the future, because as technology advances, I feel like medical simulation is going to continue to advance and become even more realistic and give our students and physicians and physician assistants and all of those students, you know, some of the most realistic ways to learn how to do medicine and really better patient care, and hopefully minimize some of these medical errors that are occurring. So that's my topic. I hope you learned a little something about it, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the term. Thank you.